Good evening. I'd like to welcome you to Joyful Gathering Spiritual Center's Saturday evening live on Facebook and YouTube. We have two cameras going at once here. My name is Reverend Margaret Palagye, and I am the founding minister of Joyful Gathering Spiritual Center, and we are so happy that you joined us this evening. So we have these two platforms going. We have YouTube, we have Facebook Live, and as most of you know, we are going in person live on April 18th. So stay tuned for that because that's going to be really, really awesome. Well, we got a few things going on right now. We have Wednesday evenings. We usually have a meditation and a group prayer, but what we are going to have is this week, third Wednesdays of the month, we have a movie. So this is really cool too. This Wednesday, we're gonna watch The Shack. So go to joyfulgathering.org, our website. It has all the information, the Zoom links, everything that you could possibly need. So check that out. Check out our two classes which start in May. One is with Dana Smith, and that's the science of getting rich. And then there's one with me. I'm May 4th, and Dana Smith is May 6th. Mine is Abundance and the Dynamic Law of Attraction. I'll be doing that with Reverend Rita Biancasino. So check our website out. We have like incredible ministers and practitioners who are willing to work with you, and we have a lot of different other events and causes, and we have a big Kabbalah class coming soon, so we are preparing for that right now. So lots of stuff going on. But let's start this evening's talk by taking that nice deep breath. Take a breath with me, please. Yes. Just get centered. Centered in spiritual truth. So, let's get this talk going. I walk in peace. I live in love. And I create a community of harmony wherever I go. Great affirmation for the month of March. And we're going to do that in a minute. This affirmation will support our theme, because we have a theme for the month of March, and it will support that theme of collectively standing up and stepping out to create a better world for all of us. And it starts one person at a time, and a world that works for everyone. So, I'd like you to do this affirmation with me, so you can repeat it wherever you are, out loud or to yourself. I walk in peace. I live in love. I create a community of harmony wherever I go. Yes, that's what each and every one of us is capable of doing, and that's what we're going to deepen into this evening. And so I placed a pretty tall order when I wrote the description of tonight's talk, which is Living Love. I said we would explore the nature of God's love. We can sure do that in 20 minutes, right? But we're going to attempt. We most certainly are. No problem there. And then we're going to look at how you can express that love in the world. Any description or explanation of God's love that I may try to give you this evening can at best be a distant second to your own personal experience with the divine, with that divine love. Unity co-founder Charles Fillmore wrote this in his book, Talks on Truth. He said, God's love for us is beyond description. A love so tender and so deep that it cannot be mentioned in the same breath with ordinary love as known by the world. The great love of being is deeper and wider than any thoughts and the words we have encompassed since the beginning of language. So much bigger. It continues, it can be known only on its own plane, and we must awaken within ourselves the capacity to feel a mighty love before we can comprehend how great is the great love of God. How great is that? How expansive is that? So beyond our human description of human love, which is important also, but that divine love is cultivated within us, and there is nothing that can describe it. We're going to try, but we must awaken first to the capacity to feel this mighty love before we can comprehend how great that love is. And that's what we're going to do this evening. Awaken within ourselves that capacity to feel a mighty love so that we can begin to comprehend how great that love truly is. And that in turn enables us to express it out into the world, which is what we want to do. I want to awaken within us a capacity to feel a mighty love by sharing with you a story. It's a true story, and it's written by Father John Powell, a professor at Loyola University in Chicago. He writes about a student that he had in his theology of faith class named Tommy. His name was Tommy. Tommy had long flaxen hair that he combed all the time and kept it really neat. He turned out to be the atheist in residence. In the course, he constantly objected to and smirked at or whined about the possibility of an unconditionally loving God. And Powell writes this: we lived with each other in relative peace for one semester. Although I must admit, for me, at times he was a serious pain. When he came up at the end of the course with his final exam, he asked in a cynical tone, "Professor Powell, do you think I'll ever find God?" Powell decided instantly on a little shock therapy. "Nope," he said emphatically. "Why not?" Tommy responded. "I thought that was the product you were pushing." Powell let him get 5 steps from the classroom door, and then he called out, "Tommy, I don't think you'll ever find God, but I'm absolutely certain that God will find you." Tommy shrugged a little, left disappointed at the thought, and that the professor was slightly disappointed in the thought that Tommy would never really truly understand God finding him. Later, Powell heard that Tommy had graduated and was duly grateful for that. Then a sad report came years later, that Tommy had terminal cancer. Before he could search him out, Tommy came to see his old professor. When he walked into Powell's office, his body was very badly wasted, and his long hair had all fallen out as an effect of the chemotherapy. But his eyes were bright, and his voice was firm, perhaps more than ever before. Tommy said, "Professor Powell, I am sick, very sick. I have cancer in both lungs. It is a matter of weeks before I go. I wanted to talk to you about something that you said to me on the last day of class." He continued, "I asked you if you thought I would ever find God, and you said no, which surprised me. Then you said, but God will find you." I thought about that a lot, said Tommy, even though I searched for a God, and it was pretty intense at times. But when the doctors removed a lump from my groin and told me that it was malignant, that's when I got serious about locating God. And when the malignancy spread into my vital organs, I really began banging bloody fists against the bronze doors of heaven. But God did not come out. In fact, nothing happened. Did you ever try for anything in your life for a really long time with great effort and nothing took place? That will psychologically gut us. It truly will, because we get fed up with trying and then quit. Well, Tommy continues. Well, one day I woke up, and instead of throwing a few more futile appeals over this high brick wall to a God that may or may not be there, I just quit. I decided that I really didn't care about God, about an afterlife. I really didn't, anything like that. I decided to spend my time, what time I had left, in doing something profitable. I thought about you, Tommy said, and your class. And I remember something else you had said. The essential sadness is to go through life without loving. But it would be almost equally sad to go through life and leave the world without ever telling those you loved that you had loved them. So I began with the hardest one of all. That would be my father. He was reading the newspaper when I approached him. Dad, yes, what? He said without even lowering the newspaper. Dad, I would like to talk with you. Well, talk. I mean, it's really important. The newspaper came down about 3 inches. What is it? Dad, I love you. I just wanted you to know that. Tommy smiled as he spoke, as though he felt a warm and secret joy that was flowing inside of him. The newspaper flooded to the floor. And then my father did 2 things I could never remember him ever doing. He cried and he hugged me. We talked all night, even though he had to get up for work the next morning. And it felt so good. It felt so good to be that close to my father, to see his tears, to feel his hug, and to hear him say that he loved me. It was easier with my mother and little brother. They cried with me too. We hugged each other and started saying really nice things to each other. We shared the things that we had been keeping secrets for years. I was only sorry about one thing, that I had waited so long. Here I was, just beginning to open up to all the people that I actually had been close to. Then one day, I turned around and God was there. God didn't come to me when I begged and pleaded. Apparently, God does things in his own way and in his own time. But the important thing was, he was there. He found me. You were right. He found me after I stopped looking for him. Tommy, Powell practically gasped. I think you were saying something very important and much more universal than you realize, to me at least. You are saying that the surest way to find God is to open to love. Tom, Pal went on, could I ask you a favor? You know, when I had you in the class, you were a real pain. But you can make it all up to me right now. Would you come and present in my Theology of Faith class to all the students that might be going through something like you were? And if I tell them, it just wouldn't be as effective as if you were to tell them. Oh, I was ready for you, Tommy said. But I don't know if I'm ready for your class, Tommy said, but then decided he would, so they scheduled a time. However, he never made it. He had another appointment, far more important than the one with Pal and the class before he died. Before he died, he and his professor talked again. I'm not going to make it to your class, he said. I know, the professor said. Will you tell them for me? Will you tell the whole world for me? I will, Tom. I will tell them, and I'll do my very best. So to all of you who have been kind enough to listen to this simple story about God's love, thank you for listening. And to you, Tommy, somewhere in the sunlit, verdant hills of heaven, I told them, Tommy, I told them as best I could. We must awaken in ourselves the capacity to feel a mighty love, that divine love, that we can comprehend how great God's love truly is for us. When we're not looking, when we let go and let God, that love just fills us. It inspires us like nothing else ever could. It's the most sacred relationship we could ever have. This is so important, this relationship. So I'm hoping right now, in this moment, you have awakened within you, possibly, the capacity to feel a little bit of this almighty love. And I want you to know that it is this mighty love that sustains you. It is this mighty love that keeps you safe. It is this mighty love that inspires you with its power. It is this mighty love that casts out all fear. It is this mighty love that blesses and prospers you in all ways. It is this mighty love that brings peace. It is this mighty love that harmonizes differences. It is this mighty love that we are all meant to express. So here, my friends, here is your charge. Your call to action for the week. And it may be contrary to what you would normally do, but it is how you can express that divine love. If you find yourself in a situation where love is apparently absent, possibly it's hostile, filled with bitterness, anger, or injustice, your automatic response is usually to withhold that love or to argue, defend, or get angry right back. Yes, I'm sure most of us respond in that manner. But we wonder why if both of us involved in this situation have such a difficult time of it, possibly we can approach it in a different manner. Maybe take that breath, in that pause, and feel that divine love. Because we know that arguing solves nothing. Each person closes down to that love which is inherent in all of us. Possibly you are the one, the strong one, who can hold and express that love. When these conditions exist, there is a great and a more urgent need for love than for anything else. The condition has arisen out of a lack of love, and it will never be healed, never, until enough love is released. We've heard love heals all things. Dr. Ernest Holmes, the founder of religious science, wrote this: if we would look for a God of love, we must look long and deeply into each other. We must look away from the differences until we penetrate into the unity of the whole. Love alone reveals love. Hate but hides that gleam. And that is why Jesus said, love your enemies and pray for those who spitefully use you, that you may become the sons of your Father. He was talking about that divine love. That's what he was talking about. It is a unified field of infinite love. When we tap into it, there is no separation. There is no dogma in the love of God. It doesn't exist. So now here's your part. Be the one to express love in those situations. Be the one to turn on your light. Be the one to show kindness, compassion, caring. You be the one to be understanding and thoughtful. You be the one to help awaken another to the capacity of this almighty love. The day will come after harnessing space. Oh, this is from, by the way, I didn't make this one up, Pierre Teilhard de Chardin, a 19th century French monk and mystic, wrote this. This is so great. The day will come when, after harnessing space, the winds, the tides, and the gravitation, we shall harness for God the energies of love. And on that day, for the second time in the history of the world, we shall have discovered fire. We shall have discovered the fire in the heart which is the divine expressing within each and every one of us. It is with this fire of a living love, my friends, a living love, that we shall light the world. We can do this. When you hear people say love heals, it is a reality. When we truly come from our heart, love heals, and only love heals. And so it is. But right now, I am going to do a spiritual mind